Hear about it. Talk about it now with Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 7:17. I couldn't be more pleased. Joining me live in the studio is Congressman Ted Poe. He's in town, getting ready to pack up and head back to Washington. Wanted to stop by in person. How great it is to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you, Matt.
And I hope you didn't have any trouble with the weather or anything.
Well, it's raining, but rain in Houston is
That's
something
a good thing.
need.
There's no question about it. All right, we got a lot of things we want to talk about. Let's start, first of all, Congressman, talking about the redistricting map that is going to be discussed in the Supreme Court today. It gets all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. To me, it is a 10th Amendment issue. It's a states' rights issue. Texas legislature has already laid this out. Why do you think, or where are we going to be once the Supreme Court takes a look at this today?
The Supreme Court will, in my opinion, reverse the lower court maps that they drew and order the lower courts probably to redraw the maps without being so overreaching. What the lower courts in San Antonio did, rather than redraw the lines that were constitutionally questionable, the court redrew all of the lines in the whole state of Texas,
right.
All 36 districts.
So you think it'll go back to the original maps that the Texas legislature?
Well, it'll go back to the original courts, and they'll have to redraw just the 2 or 3 districts that are in question. I think that's probably what will happen. And you're right; it's a 10th Amendment issue. The Texas legislature redrew the legislative lines in the state for all districts, legislative districts, congressional districts, and then you have a federal judges come in and say, not so fast. We're going to draw our own maps.
Right.
And the Supreme Court is going to balance then the states' rights issue with whether or not these federal courts can draw the maps.
And we don't know when we're going to have our primary. I mean, the problem is we pushed it back to April, and for all we know, if the Supreme Court doesn't weigh in on this week, we may have to push it back again, right?
It's a possibility, depending on what the Supreme Court does, that they could move the primary once again. It's moved to April. And the maps probably will have to be drawn sometime in the next couple of weeks for the April primary. But we will see today. Oral arguments before the Supreme Court. They'll issue a ruling probably sometime at the end of the week.
All right, very good. I thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about Fast and Furious. We haven't talked about that, and I know that is something that you are intimately involved with. Also, the debt ceiling fight, okay, which we haven't talked too much about as well. Congressman Ted Poe in studio joining us live. KTRH News Time is 7:24. We're here with Congressman Ted Poe, and a lot going on here, Congressman. I tell you what, you've come on a busy Monday, but that's okay. Tell me where we are with Fast and Furious at this point.
Fast and Furious is still under investigation by the Judiciary Committee, which I serve on. We had Attorney General Eric Holder before us. It was remarkable in his comments that he said he did not know who was in charge of the operation that actually sent the 2,000 automatic weapons to Mexico, where Mexican nationals were killed. We know 2 Americans have been killed. And this has been now 9 months since the operation has been discovered. We're going to continue to investigate it, push the issue, the idea that the United States would be in the smuggling business of smuggling guns to our enemies, and the enemy of Mexico, the drug cartels, is something Congress will deal with as this year progresses.
Next big fight in 2012, the debt ceiling. Explain that to me.
The debt ceiling was increased last summer, gave the president more money to spend. I voted against that idea. It's going to come up again where the president's going to want more money to spend, which raises the credit card limit.
Right.
And the answer is not to continue to spend more money we don't have. The answer is to reduce spending. We bring in, the federal treasury brings in by taxes, $5 billion a day. But yet the federal government spends $9 billion a day, and that's outrageous. We have to reduce spending rather than continue to raise the credit card limit.
Listen, I want to thank you for all the great work that you do. You are so tremendously respected here in Houston, in the state of Texas, and by me personally, I thank you for taking the time to come in. You and your staff are fantastic. Whenever we call, if you can make it, you are there. Keep up the good work. We love what you do, and continue to drive that big gas-guzzling Jeep with the big tires and all the bumper stickers. I love that. The Congressman's got a Jeep, and on the back there's a bumper sticker that says, Texas is bigger than France.
And it is.
And it is. There's no question. Congressman Ted Poe joining us here this morning. Thank you, Congressman.